Mom had an affair 18 years ago. I am the product of it. My dad just informed me of all this, and told me he will not pay for my college, while my siblings got their college experience paid by our dad. Both my older brother and sister went to the same college. My brother graduated 2 years ago. My sister is set to graduate in 2 years. Both had their college paid by our dad. Dad paid all their college expenses including rent, food, their cars, pocket money, you name it. My brother has a job now, his own place, lives together with his fiancée, and has his life together. My sister already has a good paying job, and my dad still pays for almost everything for her. I got accepted to the same college, which was always the plan, and was looking forward to talk with my parents about the next steps, and ask them to help me the same they did for my siblings. I always assumed they had money put aside for my college the way they had for my siblings. Instead I was met with a story about my mom's cheating, how I am the result of her cheating, and how my dad is not willing to support me anymore moving forward. Dad told me that mom had 18 years to let me know and prepare me for the future, but obviously she never did. He said it was never his place to say anything since I am not his son, and didn't want to interfere with mom's parenting. Apparently my grandparents know I am not my dad's biological son, but they haven't bothered to tell me anything either. My siblings have no idea, and they are as surprised as I am because there was never a hint of anything being off. I might be naive, but I always thought I had a great relationship with my dad. We go to see sports together, we go fishing together, he tutored me when I had difficulties with math. Dad is an engineer, he taught me to drive. I never got a hint he stores resentment towards me. I mean, he gave me my name, and has explained what my name means, and he was very proud of it. It's a story he tells from time to time. He likes to talk about stuff like that about me. My mom has never said a word about anything, and apparently she was supposed to have the talk with me, but she never did. I feel abandoned and unprepared for what lies ahead. I am not even sure I will be able to go to college anymore. I always assumed my parents will pay for it. I never had a job, and I am not sure what job I can even get to support me through college. I have no idea how to apply for loans. All my mom has done is cry and apologize, but nothing of substance. She has no idea how to help me. I don't even know if I'm welcomed home anymore. It's all up in the air. I feel shame leaving my room, and if I will be asked to move out I don't know where to go. I don't have any savings, maybe $400 put together. I am angry at my mom. I am confused about where I stand with my dad. There's a man out there who is my father that never wanted to have anything to do with me. I feel rejected and I have no idea what to do to fix this situation. Anyone have any idea what to do here? Do I apologize to my dad? What do I say to him? I don't know. I've been stuck in my room these past few days, reading and browsing Reddit. I have no idea what to do. I destroyed my entire family for only $99. We've all been seeing the recent craze of DNA testing and whatnot, so my dad and I decided to jump in the bandwagon and we bought 2 from 23andMe. We got our results back a few days ago and I went into the DNA relatives section to check out my matches. At the top it listed my dad as only sharing 29.2% DNA with me and being predicted to be a half-brother, which is impossible. This didn't make sense to me since we also shared a paternal haplogroup and we just look so alike, so he was definitely my father. My cousin also had taken the test a while back and she shared 24.6% with me, also predicted to be my half-sibling. We're supposed to share around 12%, being first cousins. I couldn't think of a genetic relationship that would explain what I was seeing and I had doubts in the accuracy of the percentages. So I made this post on the 23andMe subreddit asking for help. Basically, the shared percentages are extremely accurate and highly unlikely to be false. The only realistic explanation for what I was seeing was that my uncle, my cousin's father and my dad's brother, is my father. Reality hit me in the face like a flying bag of bricks. All the dots lined up and I felt a sense of loss. I sat in my room for an hour just in shock and then I had a feeling of anger come over me. I needed some answers. Without even thinking, I rushed out of my room and confronted my mother downstairs. My mom is a businesswoman and is often away on business trips. She had no idea my dad and I had done one of these tests since she was away on a trip and just got back. My mother and I never had a traditional relationship. She was always focused on her work and my dad ended up mostly raising me. My irrational self didn't even sugarcoat it. I asked her if she cheated on dad with Uncle David. I have never seen the color drain from someone's face so quickly. She looked dumbfounded and then mumbled, "What kind of question is this?" Of course not. I told her everything. The test, percentages, DNA matches, all of it. Crap hit the fan. My mom fell to the ground crying, begging me not to tell dad. I left her there and went back into my room. I called my cousin, now half-sibling, and told her everything. She ended the call screaming, "Dad, now uncle," then came home and stumbled into my room asking what's wrong with mom. I told him everything too. He didn't say anything after calming down. He left the room and I locked the door. For the next few hours, I heard my entire family fall apart outside my door. My parents got into a heated argument and my grandparents rushed over to see what was going on. My aunt-in-law and David showed up shortly later and I'm pretty sure I heard my dad and David get into some physical fight. Utter chaos. I feel like crap. I know it's not my fault but I can't help feeling that this is all because of me. If I had spent my birthday money on something else, none of this would have happened. But another part of me is glad to know the truth. I'm too scared to go outside. I don't even know what the outcome was. The only noise I hear in the house now is the occasional sobbing coming from my mother. And I'm sure my dad is out of the house. F my life. Update. Back to where we were. I eventually left my room, called my dad and he was actually at the hospital with my grandmother. She couldn't handle the situation and had a heart attack right when she went home. I knew my mother was still in the house but I left her there, without saying a word and went to the hospital. I got to the hospital and saw my grandmother. She's in stable condition. And then sat down with my dad to talk. First thing we told each other was that this situation didn't change our relationship. He was still my father and I was still his son. I got the confirmation of my dad and David getting into some altercation. Dad told me he effed him up really hard. My mother had told my dad that she was drunk and David essayed her. The only reason she had not told anyone was out of fear of destroying my father's family. Dad then suggested going to the police. She refused and then started to slightly change her story, making my dad doubt her claim. That's when David and everyone else came over. David claimed my mother was lying to save her own butt, and that they had consensual lovemaking. As of now, my dad and I have no idea who to believe. He says his relationships with my mother and David had always been good. He's not sure what to do. David's wife is filing for divorce since this occurred after they were married. My cousin is holding up alright, although she's still pretty shaken up. My dad and I have been staying with my grandparents for the past week until we figure out what to do. Any advice would help. Thank you.
I absolutely cannot handle my husband's disabled daughter. I know this will bring a lot of hate and I'm super sorry. I hate feeling this way and I wish to God I didn't. My husband and I have been married about 4 years, and I have my own small kids who live with us full time. My husband's daughter is 13 and was born slightly mentally disabled, although they didn't know until she was in preschool. She is high functioning and can be so sweet and friendly. She is very independent and can do many things, but she is also extremely stubborn, unhygienic, antagonistic, and has explosive outbursts. She lives with her mom and visits us on the weekends. She has an older brother whom she absolutely plagues. I mean, this boy can't even go to the bathroom without her following him and juggling the knob the entire time. She sits practically on top of him on the couch and then cries that he's teasing her. If we tell her to move away, she sits and stretches out her arm or leg so she's touching him in some way. She stares at whoever told her to move like daring them to say something to her, so it constantly feels like a showdown. If he's sitting behind her, she holds up a pillow so he can't see the TV for no reason. It is insanely miserable. It is so unfair to this kid that he just has to deal with it all the time. He's 15 so he can luckily go off with his friends, but they can't even come here together on weekends. It's so tense and miserable. She absolutely loves me, and while that's sweet, she seeks out my attention when I'm already exhausted and overwhelmed and will not stop until I look at whatever she's showing me and react in some way. I have my own small kids, and it's so overwhelming when she's here. She follows me everywhere and asks a million questions when I'm just trying to get through the day. She teases the little kids and gets really domineering with them. This sucks, but I can live with it. But she also has a litany of disgusting behaviors that I am having a ton of problems dealing with. She got her period last year and she gets blood everywhere. She lies if I even ask her if she's having her period. I usually find blood somewhere and guess for myself. She hates showering and her hair is disgustingly greasy and she has awful body odor, and obviously it's doubly horrendous when she's menstruating. If we make her shower, it's an absolute battle. She will make the entire house miserable over the smallest issue. She shouts and pouts and goes to tease everyone else, including the younger kids and the dog. She follows her dad and tells him he's stupid. She follows me, and if I ignore her tantrum, she screams my name until I react to her. Last week, out of absolutely nowhere, she peed on the floor of my 5-year-old daughter's room. They're probably the closest out of all the kids, and the behavior was totally new and unexpected. I found the puddle and asked her what happened. She lies about absolutely everything. You cannot get the truth no matter how hard you try. She knows that at our house you don't get in trouble for telling the truth, but even so she lies all the time. So just the conversation was a 45-minute affair. Finally, after like 29 different versions, she admitted to peeing on the floor. When I asked her why she did that, she said because it was fun. She also admitted to doing it at her grandparents' house, in their bedroom. She never told anyone, just apparently took a leak and just left it to marinate. I'm so exhausted by her. My husband just asked me if she could come this weekend and I got the biggest pit in my stomach. I just want some peace and to spend some time with my kids, but obviously I can't do that if she's here. She'll have to come too and make everyone miserable. It's like walking on eggshells anytime she's around. Anytime you have to say no to her, no matter how good the reason, you're risking a huge explosion and a public scene. I'm so sorry. I feel like such a jerk saying all of this. Obviously I understand that she can't help her mental disability, and I don't blame her. But I've been in tears since my husband called me and I needed to get this off my chest. Thanks for reading. I cheated on my boyfriend with the same woman he met almost daily, and I'm glad I did it. It was the best decision I ever made. My now ex-boyfriend was emotionally and verbally abusive. He'd call me derogatory names when I didn't do something he wanted, and he'd make hurtful comments about my body. I'm not even overweight, but I have body dysphoria. I was crying every single day. I wanted to leave him, but I couldn't because I was emotionally dependent on him for everything, and we were living together. He started going to strips and being open with me about and telling me he enjoys seeing women that look better than me. He went so often that I felt like he was cheating on me. I just had to go for myself and see what it was like. One night I went and decided to pay for a dance. It just so happens that I got a dance from one of the dancer he sees. Little did I know meeting her was going to be the best thing that ever happened to me. I was a bit drunk and tipsy, so I overshared with her about my boyfriend and told her about him. She said she knew who I was talking about because he'd always talked badly about me to the dancers. I just broke down and cried right there like a big idiot in front of her. She gave me a tissue to wipe my tears and gave me a huge hug. She said she didn't know what my boyfriend was talking about because she thought I was beautiful. It made me cry even more, because it made my day for a girl to think I'm pretty at least. I kept going every so often, then eventually we exchanged numbers and started going out. I was so surprised to see she dressed like a boy when she wasn't working, and to learn that she was gay. She told me she doesn't like men at all, but she makes good money off of them. People really surprised me a lot. She had and has the cutest personality ever. She opens doors for me and would ask me if I was tired or if I had anything to eat. I realized I was attracted to her and she was attracted to me. This kept going on for a few months. One night she kissed me and told me to leave him and to move in with her. We made love and she made me look at myself in the mirror and tell myself I'm beautiful. I thought it was time to leave him because at that point I realized I deserved better than to be emotionally, mentally and verbally abused almost every day by someone I used to love. While he was at work, she helped me pack up everything. I sent him a text detailing why I was leaving him. I changed my number and blocked him on everything. I live with her far away from him and haven't heard from him in months, and honestly I'm glad. I don't care about your opinions on me cheating on my abusive boyfriend. I have no regrets. If I never cheated on him, I would have never found the power to leave his toxic and abusive self and be with a girl who loves all of me and makes me feel so beautiful. We've been together for 6 months and I'm still so in love with her. She's still the same loving and sweet person she was when I first met her, and she's amazing in the bedroom, like full-blown amazing. She makes me finish all the time and he hardly ever did, maybe only once a month if I'm being honest. She works at a different club now and I found a new job I'm starting soon and I'm so excited for new stuff to come my way. I feel so blessed and lucky.
My wife kicked my mother out of my apartment. I am a 27-year-old male and got married to my 28-year-old wife last year. Since the beginning, there have been tensions between my mom and my wife. My mom, a 47-year-old female, raised me alone as a single mother. My dad was an alcoholic and a terrible person. She left him when I was 2, and at that time, she was pregnant with a second child but chose not to have it. So, it has always been just me and her. My mom worked multiple low-wage jobs to raise me and even paid for my college, which used up all her savings. Once I started earning a good income, I bought my first apartment. When I got married, my wife was initially okay with my mom living with us, as the apartment has 3 bedrooms and could easily accommodate her. However, soon after the marriage, my wife began to have issues with my mom living with us. She told me that my mom should move out or she would force her to leave. For the sake of my marriage, I agreed with my wife. I rented a nearby apartment for my mom and somehow convinced her to move there. It was uncomfortable for my mom, who had never lived alone, to adjust to doing everything by herself, but I persuaded her for the sake of my wife's happiness. However, problems arose when my wife got upset about me sending money to my mom for groceries, medicine, other bills, and rent. My mom can't afford to live in my area as it's expensive, and she doesn't have much in the way of savings, so I was supporting her financially. My wife argued that my mom is extended family and that it's wrong for me to fund her life entirely. She said my mom should work and earn her own money because she is still young. Another issue was that my mom, living alone, would call me 2 to 3 times a day. My wife said this was excessive and that my mom should find someone else to call. Even my wife's mom and sister confronted me, saying my mom's toxic attachment and reliance on me for financial support were affecting my relationship. They suggested giving my mom a month's notice to find work or move to a shared living facility on the outskirts if she couldn't afford to live alone. They also said she should limit her calls to me to once a day and that, for emotional support, she should start dating and potentially remarry. Reluctantly, I agreed with my wife. A month later, my mom got evicted from her rental and moved to a shared facility in a shady neighborhood with 3 other women, some of whom have questionable backgrounds. She's doing all this because she doesn't want my marriage to fail. She cried to me over the phone. What should I do? Is my wife right? Is it fair for my wife to prioritize her luxuries and travel plans while my mom suffers? My wife wants my mom to start dating and potentially remarry because she can't live alone due to financial and emotional reasons, but is that realistic for my mom?